They chased youth with needles and scalpels, desperate to turn back time, only to wind up looking like wax dolls in a haunted museum. Welcome to Hollywood, where Botox misfires and plastic surgery nightmares turn legends into cautionary tales. From timeless beauties turned unrecognizable to red carpet jaw-droppers no one saw coming, we're pulling back the curtain on the most shocking, bizarre, and downright disastrous cosmetic transformations. Buckle up, this is Beauty Gone Bananas. Jennifer Grey had the time of her life, until one decision nearly erased it all. Forever remembered as Baby in Dirty Dancing, Jennifer's magic was in her uniqueness. The curly hair, the tender eyes, and yes, that distinctive nose that made her stand out in a Hollywood full of sameness. Audiences didn't just like her. They adored her. Then came the early 90s. 2 rhinoplasties later, Jennifer stepped out of the operating room looking like a stranger, even to herself. She once joked, "I went in famous and came out anonymous." But behind the humor was heartbreak. The new nose was pretty, but generic. Casting directors no longer recognized her. Fans were left confused. And Hollywood, shallow as ever, suddenly had no place for the woman who'd once captured hearts as Baby. "I thought changing my appearance would open doors," she admitted years later. "Instead, it closed the ones I already had." The tabloids pounced, splashing before and after photos side by side. Some called it one of Hollywood's great tragedies, a star lost not to scandal, but to a surgeon's scalpel. Others simply asked, "Why, Jennifer, why?" But here's the twist: Jennifer didn't disappear. She reinvented herself. She found new life in television roles, reclaimed the spotlight by winning Dancing with the Stars, and eventually bared her truth in a candid memoir. Now, in her 60s, Jennifer Grey isn't running from her past. She's owning every part of it, nose and all. Katie Price. If there were a Hall of Fame for plastic surgery, Katie, better known as Jordan, wouldn't just have a plaque on the wall, she'd be the face of the entire museum, complete with a Lifetime Achievement Trophy. She didn't just flirt with cosmetic tweaks, she turned surgery into her personal brand, a spectacle, and a business model. It all started back in 1998 with a modest upgrade, a boob job from 32B to 32C. But once she got a taste, Katie slammed on the gas like she was starring in Fast and Furious, Plastic Edition. The numbers alone are staggering: 17 breast operations, 6 facelifts, endless liposuction sessions, a Brazilian butt lift, eyebrow lifts, cheek and lip fillers, chin reshaping. The list goes on like a greatest hits album of extreme makeovers. One notorious trip to Turkey in 2024 left her so swollen she could barely see straight. But if the headlines were any indication, the swelling wasn't the only thing out of control. Her face seemed to evolve faster than her Instagram filters. One week she looked like a Barbie doll, the next like a Bratz figure on display at Madame Tussauds. Fans were baffled, doctors worried, and tabloids eventually ran out of words for unrecognizable. Yet Katie never flinched. "I want to be the best version of myself," she insisted. The problem? That best version seemed to change every few months, usually under anesthesia. Along the way came infections, nerve damage, botched results, and brutal ridicule from the press. Her children begged her to stop. Doctors warned another surgery could kill her. But Katie is already mapping out 6 new procedures for 2025. Pixie ear correction, anyone? And still, beneath the silicone headlines and surgical sagas, is a woman who built a $50 million empire out of modeling, reality TV, books, and sheer nerve. Love her or loathe her, Katie Price has never played by anyone else's rules. Not beauty standards, not fame, and certainly not public opinion. Linda Evangelista. Once celebrated as the ultimate chameleon of the runway, she was the very definition of a 90s supermodel, the woman on every magazine cover stacked on your mom's coffee table. She graced more than 700 covers, ruled the catwalks for Chanel and Dolce & Gabbana, and famously declared she wouldn't get out of bed for less than $10,000 a day. But one fateful choice turned her fairy tale career into a chilling nightmare. In 2016, Linda turned to cool sculpting, a trendy fat-freezing treatment that promised to smooth away the extra bits. But instead of shrinking, her fat cells did the unthinkable. they grew larger, harder, and uneven. A rare side effect called paradoxical adipose hyperplasia, what she bitterly called the fat striking back. Suddenly, fashion's flawless muse was hiding from her own reflection, dodging cameras like a scandalized star avoiding paparazzi. She confessed she felt brutally disfigured. What was supposed to be a spot-a fix became a permanent scar. Even 2 corrective surgeries couldn't undo the damage. Her confidence collapsed. Her career froze. And the world that once adored her beauty seemed to erase her from memory. But Linda refused to stay invisible forever. In 2021, she broke her silence, filing a $50 million lawsuit against the makers of Cool Sculpting. And then came her fierce comeback, scars and all, front and center on the cover of Vogue. Her message was powerful, raw, and unshakable. Beauty is not perfection, and pain does not get the final word. Priscilla Presley. Once the queen of Graceland, elegant, timeless, and forever tied to Elvis as his great love. But in 2003, her pursuit of eternal youth veered into a nightmare worthy of a horror flick. Hoping to turn back the clock, she was injected not with Botox, but with industrial-grade silicone, the same stuff used to grease car engines. The man behind this so-called miracle? Not a licensed doctor, but Daniel Serrano, a smooth-talking ex-stylist turned fake surgeon who treated Hollywood parties like his hunting ground. His injections left Priscilla's once classic beauty warped. Her cheeks puffed up, her features distorted, and the press pounced. Tabloids mocked her new look as the haunted porcelain mask. By 2008, the truth came out. Priscilla wasn't alone. She was one of many victims duped by Serrano, who was later sentenced to 18 months in prison for playing mad scientist with celebrity faces. Though she underwent corrective surgeries, the damage had already RSVP'd to her red carpet appearances. Yet if you know anything about a Presley, it's this: they don't go down without a fight. While her face became meme material, her spirit stayed pure gold. She turned scandal into strength, building a $50 million empire through acting, real estate, and fiercely managing Elvis's legacy. By 2022, she was back on red carpets, chin high, cheekbones sharp, and walking like nothing could ever break her. Joan Rivers. If plastic surgery were an Olympic sport, she wouldn't just win the gold, she'd sweep the podium. The razor-sharp queen of comedy didn't just joke about Hollywood's obsession with vanity. She lived it, wore it, and cut into it, literally. More than 700 procedures. That's not self-care, that's practically a lifetime subscription. Joan called Botox her best friend and compared surgery maintenance to a tire rotation, except hers happened on her forehead. Nose jobs, eye lifts, fillers, enough that her cheeks could double as airbags. And she didn't hide it. She turned her transformation into part of her act, firing off punchlines with the same ferocity she used on the red carpet during Fashion Police. But even the boldest fans began to whisper. By the late 2000s, the Joan Rivers who once graced stages with her sharp wit and striking features had been pulled, puffed, and plumped nearly beyond recognition. Her skin was stretched tight, her lips pillowy, her eyebrows arched sky-high, as if trying to escape the surgery themselves. Yet Joan owned it all, snapping back at critics with the same unapologetic fire that made her a legend. Still, the risks were real. Multiple surgeries under full anesthesia take a toll, and in 2014, during what was supposed to be a routine throat procedure, tragedy struck. Joan Rivers, Hollywood's fearless truth-teller, comedy's relentless warrior, was gone. The loss sent shockwaves worldwide, leaving fans not only grieving her razor wit but also questioning the dangerous price of beauty in a culture obsessed with perfection. Gwyneth Paltrow. The Oscar winner in that unforgettable pink gown, the woman who dated half of Hollywood, and the mogul who turned scented candles into a billion-dollar wellness empire. She became the high priestess of clean living, green juice, moonlight meditations, and crystals promising cosmic energy. But even the queen of goop couldn't resist Hollywood's most tempting elixir, cosmetic tweaks. For years, Gwyneth swore she'd never surrender to the knife. She built her brand on natural elegance, on being the poster girl for effortless beauty. Yet somewhere in the 2010s, fans noticed a shift. Her face looked smoother, tighter, Less Shakespeare in Love, more silicone in Beverly Hills. Whispers filled the tabloids. Botox, fillers, lasers, maybe even a secret lift. She denied the extremes, but admitted to experimenting. One filler session, she later confessed on her Goop podcast, left her feeling crazy, a tweak she deeply regretted. It took months before she felt like herself again. The moral? Even wellness warriors have weak moments, and sometimes collagen stimulation goes rogue. Social media had a field day. Before and after photos flooded timelines, showing a Paltrow transformed from fresh-faced ingenue to polished Hollywood chic. Admirers called her radiant. Critics said she traded her natural glow for a Botox brochure. And those dramatically arched brows? They sparked more debate than her infamous jade egg tutorial. Eva Mendes. She was the sultry siren of the 2000s. Smoky eyes, irresistible curves, pure Cuban heat. She lit up the screen in Hitch, Training Day, and every teenage boy's daydream. But as the years rolled on, fans began to notice a shift. Her glow remained, yes, but her face? Tighter than a drum, smoother than a Photoshop filter gone rogue. Suddenly, whispers turned into shouts. Did Eva go under the knife? Where did her smile lines vanish? Why do her cheeks look ready for a spin-off show of their own? Then came the infamous Instagram moment. Around 2020, Eva posted a selfie mid-procedure, 6 needles poking from her chin during mono-threading. It wasn't exactly the spot A glamour shot fans expected. The internet erupted. Some applauded her honesty about cosmetic tweaks. Others mourned the fading of her once natural beauty. And just when the buzz quieted, Eva dropped the Botox bombshell. In a 2024 interview, she admitted regret. "You just have to wait for it to pass," she sighed, words that sounded less like beauty advice and more like a storm forecast. Experts chimed in, warning that mono-threading wasn't the miracle cure it claimed to be, especially for the neck. Fans, meanwhile, compared her new look to AI art, smooth, but strangely lifeless, like beauty on autopilot. But here's where Eva rewrote the script. Instead of chasing Hollywood perfection, she chose something rarer: peace. She stepped back from acting to raise 2 daughters with Ryan Gosling. Yes, that Ryan Gosling. She launched a lifestyle brand, embraced bare-faced selfies, and clapped back at trolls with wit, grace, and the occasional emoji. Now 51, Eva Mendes still glows, but on her own terms. Her face may have changed, but her fire hasn't dimmed. If anything, it burns brighter, fueled not by Hollywood lights but by the life she chose to live. Ryan Gosling. He tap-danced his way into our hearts in La La Land, smoldered behind the wheel in Drive, and turned Hey Girl into a global lifestyle. The internet's collective crush, Gosling has always been the guy who made effortless cool look dangerously sexy. But lately, fans couldn't help but notice something different about Hollywood's golden boy. Ken started looking a little plastic. The rugged heartthrob with the easy grin now sported skin so smooth it could pass for glass, a jawline sharp enough to cut paper, and a forehead suspiciously free of time's fingerprints. So the whispers began. Botox? Fillers? A nose job? Or had Ryan simply unlocked the ultimate skincare routine that could bend the laws of aging? He never confirmed a thing, too chill for confessionals. But the internet wasn't buying the just good lighting excuse. Side-by-side photos comparing his notebook days to his Barbie press tour told a story of their own. The scruffy dreamboat seemed to have traded laugh lines for lab work. One viral post even crowned him Ken, but make it Madame Tussauds. Cosmetic experts chimed in with their guesses: cheek fillers, chin sculpting, maybe a whisper of rhinoplasty. Yet the verdict was unanimous. Gosling looked different. Not ruined. Not botched. Just too smooth. And still, the man knows how to disarm the world. A half smile here, a clever joke there, and suddenly, rumors fade into background noise. In a 2024 GQ interview, he brushed off vanity talk with a shrug, saying he cared more about health and balance than appearance. Ironically, it only made him hotter. At 44, Ryan Gosling may not look exactly like the scruffy charmer who stole hearts in The Notebook. But he hasn't lost an ounce of the charisma, the talent, or that bone structure that still makes fans swoon. Whether it's skincare, scalpel, or straight-up sorcery, one thing's for sure, he'll always be our Ken. Caitlyn Jenner. Once celebrated as the very definition of American masculinity, Olympic gold medalist, Wheaties box icon, and the steady stepdad on Keeping Up with the Kardashians, Caitlyn didn't just break records, she shattered expectations. But long before her groundbreaking gender transition, Caitlyn, then Bruce, had already stepped into the world of cosmetic transformation. It began subtly in the 80s. A nose job here, a little lift there. But in Hollywood, pressure weighs heavier than any decathlon medal. By the early 2000s, her face was pulled so tight that tabloids joked her cheeks looked inflated and her skin stretched enough to double as a trampoline. Some even claimed she had the expression range of a wax figure. Then came 2015, the year the world stopped and stared. When Bruce became Caitlyn, the Vanity Fair cover didn't just break the internet. Sorry, Kim, it ignited a cultural firestorm. Applause, criticism, debate, and curiosity flooded in as millions Googled gender confirmation surgery for the first time. Even after that bold step, Caitlyn's journey with cosmetic procedures never slowed. Each tweak, each touch-up, was part of her effort to align the woman she knew inside with the image she projected to the world. Sometimes the results were stunning. Other times, critics said they looked overdone. But whether praised as brave or dismissed as excessive, one thing was certain: Caitlyn Jenner's story was always headline-worthy. And while the world argued over whether she'd gone too far, Caitlyn herself summed it up best. It wasn't about perfecting an image. It was about living her truth. Sharon Stone. In the 90s, she wasn't just a star, she was the ultimate femme fatale. All legs, lips, and lethal stares, she didn't simply appear in Basic Instinct. She redefined the very meaning of seduction. Hollywood worshipped her. Directors lined up at her door. Fans treated that infamous chair scene like gospel, memorizing every frame. But behind the power poses and the icy glamour, Sharon's beauty journey turned into something straight out of a thriller. In 2001, during what should have been a routine breast reconstruction after a benign tumor, her surgeon went rogue. Without her consent, he secretly enlarged her chest. His excuse? It suits your hips better. Excuse me, sir, this is a hospital, not Project Runway. Sharon was livid, and who could blame her? But the real plot twist came later that same year. A massive stroke and a 9-day brain hemorrhage nearly ended her life. Left with facial paralysis, Sharon endured more than 300 Botox and filler injections, not for vanity, but simply to restore balance and movement. What once had been a Hollywood beauty perk became a medical necessity. Some results were tragic, even grotesque. She joked that at one point her lips looked like a herring. Other times, her face looked more horror movie than red carpet. Eventually, she said enough. Sharon turned her back on the endless injections, refused doctors' pleas for a facelift, and embraced the truth of aging, wrinkles, wisdom, and all. Today, at 67, she posts makeup-free selfies on Instagram, radiant and unapologetic. And here's the kicker, she still looks like $1 million, only now, every single dollar has been earned the hard way. Tara Reid. Once the bubbly blonde sweetheart of every late 90s teen comedy, Tara skyrocketed to fame with American Pie, charming audiences with her girl-next-door glow and beach-ready beauty. But in 2004, her Hollywood fairy tale took a sharp turn into nightmare territory, faster than you could say, liposuction. Chasing a boost in confidence, Tara signed up for a breast augmentation and a tummy tuck, expecting a starlet's glow-up. What she got instead was a horror show. Her chest was left uneven, her nipples oddly shaped, and her stomach carved with ripples, scars, and shockingly, a hernia. The cruel unveiling came at Diddy's birthday bash, when her dress slipped, exposing the botched results to flashing cameras. Overnight, she went from red carpet darling to tabloid punchline, roasted endlessly by the internet. But Tara didn't disappear. In 2006, she went back under the knife, this time with a true professional, to repair the damage. The results were better, but Hollywood has a long memory. Over the years, her once fresh face morphed under Botox, fillers, and weight fluctuations. Each new photo sparked whispers. Is that still Tara Reid? Fans were confused, critics ruthless, and the paparazzi merciless. Once a rising star with the world at her feet, Tara became a living reminder of how quickly Hollywood's golden spotlight can turn into a burning glare. April Michelle Brown just wanted to turn heads with a Cuvia figure. Instead, she left the world horrified with a nightmare straight out of a medical thriller. Tired of waiting for her dream body and unwilling to pay Beverly Hills prices, she chose a dangerous shortcut, underground but injections. Spoiler alert, never a good idea. The so-called doctor was nothing more than a hustler with a syringe, injecting her with industrial-grade silicone, the same toxic material used to seal bathroom tiles. What followed was a living horror story, raging infections, rotting tissue, and ultimately, the unimaginable amputation of both her arms and legs. All because she wanted a firmer behind. Over the next few years, April endured more than 27 surgeries, a staggering number that could have bought her a brand new body on the operating table. But here's the twist. Instead of drowning in self-pity, she rose above it. She refused sympathy, embraced prosthetics, and transformed her tragedy into testimony. April used her story to warn others about the devastating price of chasing beauty through back-alley bargains. She became living proof that sometimes the cost of looking perfect is everything you never thought you could lose. Neven Ciganovic. At 55, the flamboyant Croatian celebrity stylist and reality TV firecracker is no stranger to outrageous headlines. But his latest cosmetic gamble turned into a story no one, least of all his pants, could have predicted. On a quest for the perfect nose, Neven booked his third rhinoplasty, this time flying to an Iranian clinic to save a little money. What he didn't bargain for was a parting gift that left him in shock, a permanent erection. That's right. He went in for a nose job and came out with a full-blown medical emergency. Doctors later explained it was priapism, a rare and dangerous condition triggered by an allergic reaction to the anesthesia. According to the French Association of Urology, if untreated, it can cause lifelong complications, and not the kind you'd want to brag about. With his recovery derailed and his wardrobe under siege, Neven rushed back to Belgrade, desperately seeking treatment. But here's the twist. None of this has slowed him down. Despite the bizarre ordeal, the man remains obsessed with chasing aesthetic perfection. He's already plotting his next procedure, proving that in Neven's world, global stardom won't wait for anyone, not even a man battling a medically induced erection. Simon Cowell. For years, one arched eyebrow from him was enough to crush a dream on live TV. But lately, fans have been asking, where did that eyebrow go? The sharp-tongued king of talent shows, the man who built an empire on brutal honesty, suddenly found himself battling rumors not about his words, but about his face. In his early days, Simon had that rugged British charm, thick brows, a smug grin, and a face that practically shouted, "I don't care what you think, because I'm probably right." But by the late 2010s, the man who once mocked bad makeovers began showing up looking like he had lost a fight with a Snapchat filter. Then came the Botox era. His cheeks puffed up, his eyes seemed permanently squinted, and his forehead refused to move. Fans joked he looked like a wax figure of himself melting under studio lights. A 2018 Silhouette Soft Lift facelift reportedly cost just $2,000, and every ounce of his facial expression. Even his young son burst out laughing, unable to recognize him. The internet, of course, showed no mercy. Memes exploded. AI Simon Cowell and Britain's Got No Eyelids trended after every red carpet appearance. That 2025 Britain's Got Talent promo video? Social media roasted him like never before. But here's the twist. Simon actually owned up to it. In a 2022 interview, he admitted he'd gone too far and vowed to quit fillers for good. These days, the man once known for scowls and savage critiques has traded syringes for bike rides, veggies, and water bottles. His new glow? 100% post-surgery, no filter required. Renee Zellweger. Once the squinty-eyed, utterly lovable sweetheart of Bridget Jones's Diary, she had a face that wasn't Hollywood perfect, but that's exactly why audiences adored her. Her slightly offbeat charm made her the queen of awkward rom-coms and the star of 1,000 relatable memes. So when she walked onto a red carpet in 2014 looking well, like not Renee, the world practically gasped in unison. Who's that woman? And what did she do with Bridget Jones? The signature puffed cheeks, rounded eyes, that quirky warmth, gone. In their place, sculpted brows, a wider stare, and skin so flawless it looked pressed by an iron. The internet, in true internet fashion, exploded. Headlines screamed unrecognizable, as before and after photos filled every feed. Some fans mourned the loss of her old face like a favorite character who'd been written off a beloved series. Experts speculated eyelid lift, Botox, filler overload. Renee said nothing at first, but in 2016, she came back swinging with an op-ed, insisting she hadn't had surgery, that the change was simply the result of rest, health, happiness, and maybe a kinder mirror. Still, whispers didn't stop. Cosmetic surgeons chimed in uninvited, dubbing her a porcelain version of herself. Even later, as she leaned into a more natural look, the scars of public scrutiny, whether physical or emotional, were impossible to erase. But here's the thing, Renee didn't retreat. She pressed on, delivered powerhouse performances, and even took home an Oscar for Judy. By 2024, she was clear. The noise no longer mattered. She wasn't listening. And honestly, that's the real glow-up. Cardi B isn't just famous for her chart-topping hits and no-filter lyrics. She's also become one of the boldest voices in Hollywood when it comes to the risks of plastic surgery. And trust me, when Cardi talks, people lean in. Especially when the story begins with, "I got butt implants in somebody's basement for $800. In a raw Instagram live that felt half confession and half warning, Cardi revealed she had finally removed her infamous booty injections. The reason? Those implants were 95% biopolymer, a fancy word for toxic plastic sludge that had no business being inside her body. The recovery was hell. The message was crystal clear: don't ever do this to yourself. Cardi admitted she felt pressured back in her stripper days, lured by the cheap price tag and the promise of quick curves. But that bargain came with a hidden cost: her health. Even more chilling, the same injector was later linked to another woman's tragic death. Turns out, when someone says, "I do surgery in my basement," the only right move is to run. But don't twist her words. Cardi isn't anti-surgery. She's pro-informed surgery. She's open about her nose job, even joking she wasn't a fan of her dad's nose. Her stance is simple: if you want to change something, do it. But do it smart, do it safe, and definitely don't trust some unlicensed doctor working next to a water heater. Regine Aronizing was never your typical reality TV star. Actress, author, singer, activist, and a true LGBTQ+ glamazon. She's lived a life bigger than the screen. But what really catapulted her into pop culture's spotlight wasn't a red carpet moment or a hit single. It was a cosmetic nightmare that sounded more like the plot of a horror flick than a beauty treatment. Regine shocked the world when she appeared on E!'s Botched, revealing that an unlicensed doctor had injected her with a Frankenstein mix of cement, mineral oil, tire sealant, and yes, superglue. Not in a construction zone, but in her face, breasts, and hips. Forget Botox, this was Home Depot gone rogue. The devastating results wrecked her body and nearly destroyed her confidence. But Regine didn't fade into the shadows. With courage, resilience, and her signature glam, she turned her tragedy into testimony. Thanks to the skilled surgeons on Botched, much of the damage was reversed, and she began reclaiming her beauty and her power, one surgery at a time. Her roots are as rich as her spirit: Indo-Trinidadian, French, Afro-Trinidadian, Polynesian, and proudly Dogla. And her bravery runs deep. Coming out as a transgender woman in the 1990s, long before acceptance was mainstream, took a kind of courage most can only imagine. These 17 stories aren't just about surgeries gone wrong, they're chilling reminders that the pursuit of beauty can come with a price too high to pay. So the next time you see a flawless face on your screen, ask yourself, what's the story behind the scalpel? Don't forget to like, drop a comment about which transformation shocked you the most, and subscribe for more untold Hollywood revelations. Because here, behind the glam, the truth always finds the light.